Welcome to the Chronicles of the Christian Drama Queen podcast. I am your host and the original Christian Drama Queen, Lisa Schaefer, and I'm glad that you are here. I can promise you that I know what it's like to think like a lover of Jesus, but live like a hot mess every day. And if you can relate to that, listen, you're in the right place, because everything from the craziness of homeschooling my kids for 25 years to overcoming deep wounds of abandonment and abuse as a child, I want you to stay with me, sister, because I've walked down all of those paths and a lot more, and I've got decades of healing and hope to share with you. So here we go. And here we go. All right. Welcome to the show today, guys. I'm so glad that you're here. I will tell you right now that it's early in the morning. I'm still in my pajamas. I have my super drama queen coffee cup, and it is full of coffee this morning because I really need it. Oh, I've got something to share with you guys today. So I'm in the middle of doing my very first coaching course with just a handful of participants. And I'm so excited about what God is doing in the lives of other people, and that he's just, using me as a facilitator to walk down the same journey that I've walked down. So I'm just really blessed, really blessed. And I've really been it's just exciting to see God doing something. However, what I have to tell you is that I'm not done. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still changing. I'm still maturing. I'm still becoming all the things that God wants me to be. We're not done. The journey's not over. And one of the things that I was in the middle of talking about with my coaching team, my coaching, my friend Jeremy calls it a cohort. When you have a workshop, you get tired of the same old stuff, courses and classes and masterminds and workshops. So he uses the word cohort. So we kind of adopted that. I adopted that. And so one of the things that was discussed during our recent cohort, we're talking about this idea, because of course my mission is to help women who have been abandoned or abused find a way to forgive their perpetrators. In my case, the abandonment came from my father. In my case, the abuse came from other people. It wasn't my father, but so there's more than one issue there. And I find that with most discarded daughters, which is what I've been calling myself since the Bible study Discarded was published last fall, that I wrote, I find that we have similar experiences to an extent, because that father not being there not only gives you these feelings of need and inadequacy and feeling unloved and unwanted and undesirable and not cherished, not protected, but there are actually situations where a father being there could have protected you, and he wasn't there to do that. And so in the midst of all these conversations that we have about, the times we have felt unloved, and the truth is God does love us, or the times that we felt unwanted. And the truth is God knows us so intimately and created a way for us to have salvation and an eternity with him anyway, even though he knows the depths of our transgressions and how ugly things get. So we're talking, having this conversation, and the story of Joseph comes up in my study. In fact, at the back of my Bible study is a very lengthy question and answer section on the life of Joseph. So my question for you today is, what is missing in the story of Joseph, which begins at Genesis 37. In Genesis 37, Joseph comes on the scene like gangbusters. It's obvious that his father is playing favorites with him, has created this coat of many colors and given it to him, showing his affection and deep love for that son, that young son. And I think there were 12. Okay, so he's almost the youngest, because later on there's another. But he's got this, Joseph steps onto the scene with things like, hey guys, let me tell you a story. I had this dream, and in my dream, you're all worshiping me, or you're all bowing before me. I am in charge and I'm a leader and you're all in a circle. And at first it's just the brothers that get irritated. And then his own father says, "What are you talking about? Your mother and I, we're going to bow before you as well? Seriously?" I think at that point, my grandfather, who was my father figure, would have said, "You need to keep your mouth shut." He would have made it very clear that bragging was not going to get me very far. So if you haven't read the life of Joseph in the book of Genesis, you should, because in that we see all kinds of indications that Joseph is not really wanted. His brothers format a scheme to, first of all, Joseph goes out to find them, and his father instructs him, "Go out and find your brothers." Well, does he not know the brothers are ticked at him? I don't know. Maybe he did know the brothers were all ticked at Joseph. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing that he would send him out to find his brothers. And he didn't find them where they were supposed to be. They had gone on and went somewhere else. And I have to wonder, did they think he was going to snitch on them and tell their father why they weren't where they were supposed to be? I don't know. So Joseph gets instructed by a stranger, basically. "Hey, I saw your brothers. They went to Dothan." And so he goes and finds them. And when they see him coming, they devise a plan. Okay, he's on his way. We see him coming. We can't stand this dreamer and all of his big stories and all of the nonsense that he shares with us. Let's kill him. So they plan to kill him. And then one of the brothers says, "No. Let's just throw him in a pit. We don't want his blood on our hands. Let's just throw him in a pit. We'll put him there and we'll leave him there." And then the brother thinks, "Hey, I'll just come back later and save him. I'll get him out of the pit." But while the big brother's gone, after they've all thrown him in the pit, they've torn his tunic. They've taken his coat of many colors, the prized possession and proof that his father adored him, and they have thrown him in the pit. And the big brother leaves, and the other brothers go, "You know what? There's a bunch of Ishmaelites coming this way. Maybe they'll buy him and we'll sell him and they can have him and he won't be our problem." And that's exactly what they do. So when the big brother comes back and Joseph's not in the pit, he thought he was going to save him later. No, the other brothers have sold him into slavery and he's gone. And he is taken off to Egypt and sold into the life of servitude for Potiphar, who works, he's like the administrator in town, right? And then it gets worse. If you keep going into the story, then there's more stuff that comes. And poor Joseph is falsely accused. He's put in prison. He's forgotten while he's there, even though he's done something really nice for another prisoner. What's missing from this story? What is missing from the story of Joseph? He's got all of these things that have come against him. He's thrown into a pit. His brothers sell him. They're calling him names. They mock him. They don't want him. It's obvious they don't want him. What's missing? Joseph never complains about his situation. Read through it. Read through the story. We don't once find him in a position where he's nagging and crying and whimpering, "Don't do this to me. Don't do that to me. God, why are you allowing this to happen to me?" We don't see any of that in the story of Joseph. Why do you think that is? Is it because it wasn't painful? Now, come on. If you had all those brothers and you were the youngest, you don't think it would be painful to be unwanted like that, to be mocked, to be called names, to be thrown into a pit, to have your most prized possession stolen by the people that are supposed to care about you? I think it would be painful. I think it would matter. So that can't be it. Why doesn't he complain? Is it because he doesn't think his complaints will do any good? Well, I don't know about you, but most of the time when I'm complaining, it's because I want somebody to fix it. If I was going to, make my promises, "Hey, I won't talk about my dreams anymore. I won't rub it in your face that I think you're going to bow down to me someday. And oh, by the way, he was right. I won't bring it up. I'll do whatever it takes to get out of this pit and go home to my father, who seems to be the only one that really wants me." He didn't complain. Why doesn't Joseph complain? Why doesn't he cry out to God in the midst of all of that for help? Now, really, and honestly, he probably did. There's no record of it. There's no recording of it. But in the midst of a trial, those trials, one after another, we don't hear him crying out for rescue. Have you ever wondered why he doesn't cry out for rescue? Listen, I've known a lot of people that have gone through really hard times. Maybe they were thrown in jail or they were falsely accused. Maybe you've been falsely accused, or you were struggling with illness or calamity or poverty or financial ruin. I can't remember knowing anyone that didn't cry out for help. Cry out to God or cry out to friends or just cry out because it was so painful to be in that situation. I've not known anyone who didn't cry out for help in the midst of hard times or calamity. Now, I have known lots of people who will say, I'm trusting God, but that doesn't mean that their behavior or their attitude or their words really indicate they're trusting God. Maybe that's why Joseph doesn't cry out. Maybe he's walking close enough with God and he understands the dreams he's been given, because he was given more than one where all of his brothers bow down and one where his own parents are in submission to him. And at least that he's the dream teller. He deciphers those dreams, and later on it's going to save his tail. He's going to be able to get out of jail because he's able to decipher dreams. Maybe he doesn't complain, or maybe there's no record of it because those dreams were an indication of his close walk with the Lord. I don't know. We don't really see him constantly in fellowship with God, although there is this one place that I find interesting. In Genesis 37, when Joseph has gone out to find his brothers and he can't locate them, we almost get the impression that he's out in a field daydreaming. And this stranger that's unknown to him sees him there and says, "What are you doing here?" I don't know what Joseph was doing out in that field. I don't know if he was communicating with God, or if he was asking for help and guidance, or if he was asking God to prepare him for whatever was coming. I mean, listen, he had a close enough relationship. He had knowledge that his brothers hated him. And he also knew that his father had sent him to find his brothers. Did he not maybe know this could go bad? This could go off the rails? They don't like me. They might get rid of me. I mean, that's how much they loathe me. I don't know. And I'm not trying to place things in the story that aren't there, but it's very interesting to think about my own reactions to hard times and struggles. Do I trust God enough not to complain? Do I trust that he knows the plans for me? Plans to give me a future and a hope, plans not to harm me when things are not going well, when things are difficult, whether it's financial calamity or physical illness or watching loved ones suffer, watching people fall away or purposely turn their back on the God that I have grown to love so much. And I deeply desire for him to be participant in their lives. I don't know that I know anyone that is so close to God that they don't cry out for help and they just trust him where they are. Now, God does tell us to cry out to him, but for some reason, in the story of Joseph, we don't see any indication of complaining. We don't see any indication that Joseph doubted that he was in God's hands. I find that fascinating. And it makes me want to analyze my own life and the way I relate to God in the midst of really difficult times. Do I exhibit the kind of faith that doesn't look like I'm whining or complaining or doubting that God's got me? How about you? And I guess that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thanks for joining me today on the Chronicles of the Christian Drama Queen podcast. I am your host, Lisa Schaefer. There are lots of ways to find me on social media. Of course, I'm on Facebook, and I'm also available on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel. It's called Christian Drama Queen. You can go check out the videos of these podcasts right there on that YouTube channel. There's a website that you can go to just find out a little bit more about me. It's christiandramaqueen.com, and you can always email me, same place, lisa@christiandramaqueen.com. Don't forget to share me with a friend, guys. Like me, shoot me some hearts, fill out those comments, make sure that you've given me a rating or a review of some sort, because listen, the only way that other people find out we're here is for you to let them know that I'm here. And listen, we not only appreciate that, we really believe that God's going to use it. And you know I love you.